Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Before I have Malcolm do the county commissioners, I just want to confirm that our members attending online can hear and be heard. Tom, can you just confirm?
Yep, here.
Okay, and Dawn?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Take it away, Malcolm.
Well, good evening, everyone. The January 26th County Commissioners meeting is now open. Just to remind you all that the meeting is being recorded, both visually and audio-wise. Any public comment on any item not on the agenda? I don't see any. We will move on. I know there's no new business I know of. We have approval of the minutes of November 29th. I don't think we have any payroll or treasury warrants, but the minutes. Oh, I'm sorry.
Move approval of all three.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by roll call. Dawn?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
And Chair.
Aye.
Old business and citizens request, official business and citizen request. Number one, request for approval and execution of assent to complaint to recognize 1979 fee taking of Burnell Street and approval registration of subdivision plan of Lot 4 as shown on Land Court Plan number 37271A, lots 26, 27, and 28 on pending Land Court Plan 37271F for 54 Burnell Street. Do we have comments? Hello. Yes. Vicky.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. So this matter is similar to other matters that have come before you in the past. The property owner is subdividing their property into 3 lots. They abut Burnell Street, and this property is registered land. The land court requires that the county, since it had done a taking of Burnell Street as a public way, assent to the petition for the filing of the subdivision plan, just approving of the fact that the boundary for the taking is still in place. I can recommend to you that I found that the boundary lines on the subdivision plan are the same as they were in the taking plan. And this matters before you for your approval and assent.
Thank you. Sir.
Attorney Arthur Reed, representing the property owner. As Vicky set forth, the land court now requires this in all cases where there's been a county, in this case, or a town taking of land adjacent to property that on which there's a new plan being filed in the land court. That we either need to get the assent of the town confirming that the boundary is of the taking is as shown on the new plan, or else there has to be a procedure and hearing and trial in the land court. So obviously the surveyor has drawn the plan consistent with the taking. It's been reviewed by Vicky, and we would ask you to vote to sign the assent so that we can proceed with it in land court. Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions, comments from the board?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approval by roll call. Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Chairman says aye. Those are that request is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have another one, request for approval and extension of assent to complaint to recognize 1975 order of taking of Old South Road and approve registration of subdivision plan of lot 28 as shown on Land Court Plan 16514G into lots 1150 and 1151 on pending Land Court Plan number 16514-159 for 109 Old South Road. Vicky.
Mr. Chair, this is a similar matter to the one that you just voted on. In this case, the property owner of 109 Old South Road is subdividing their property into two lots. This property abuts Old South Road, which was taken by the county in 1975. And in reviewing the boundary lines of the taking plans as well as the subdivision plan, I find that they are the same and therefore recommend that you approve this assent and vote to execute it as well.
Arthur, this is yours too.
Exact same situation, and we would ask that you sign the assent. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
Move approval again?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor by roll call. Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. That is approved.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. Now we have the 2005 fiscal year county budget for review. And okay. And the finance director is going to review it for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we'll take you through the proposed fiscal 2025 county budget tonight. Erica, next slide, please. So the county agencies are the county administration, which has no employees, and then the Registry of Deeds, which is the administration and the deeds excise components within the registry. Next slide, please, Erica. Just as a reminder, the county revenue sources, because I know we only do this really once a year, the assessment from the town, deeds excise revenue, recording fees, the corrections deeds excise, which is a $250,000 payment for the public safety facility, Registry of Deeds excise fund balance, and county fund balance if we needed to utilize those. Next slide, please. The fiscal 2025, excuse me, projected revenue for the county, the town assessment, $231,288. Deeds excise receipts, $584,375, broken down between county administration, $350,625, and Registry of Deeds, $233,750. Recording fees of $141,375. As well as the corrections deed excise grant from the state in the amount of $250,000. All told, projected revenue, if we met all of the collections of the receipts, $1,207,038. Just a reminder about how the county is funded. There is a funding requirement, which has been also known as the maintenance of effort. By law, the county must provide a certain amount of non-deeds excise revenue to the registry every year. That amount increases by 2.5% per year. This year's county funding requirement was $372,663, which is made up of the excise tax estimate and the county and the town assessment into the county. Next slide, please, Erica. Projected expenses, county administration, $258,984. As noted, that there are no employees in the county. This is mostly legal and professional service fees. Registry of Deeds, $593,247. The Registry of Deeds is where the three full-time employees are paid through, and administrative expenses and any special projects that the registrar may undertake in the year. Public safety and facility debt service payment of $250,000. Projected expenses of $1,102,231. This last slide that we have is essentially a comparison with the fiscal 2024 budget. As noted, the county administration budget recommendation did not change. Registry of Deeds payroll did increase to 491,000 as a result of the labor union contracts and the personnel compensation study, comp and class study being implemented. Operating expenses had a slight increase, and then for a total of 548,247 in the Registry of Deeds. And then deeds excise expenses, 45,000 total. Total Registry of Deeds budget for fiscal 25 projected 593,247. The public safety facility debt service of 250,000. Total county budget $1,102,231. Next slide.
There's no more.
Okay. So you can close that out. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? I was just wondering, the town assessment, how's that calculated?
It's actually taken out of the 372,000 when we take the deeds, the estimated excise revenue. It did increase this year by about 40,000, Mr. Chair, just because of the fact that there's not as many recordings projected for next year, given that mortgage interest rates are still rather high. So there's not been a lot of refinances, which has in past years increased that fee. So it did increase to 231,000 from around 180,000 this year.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Do I hear a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, by roll call, Don Holgate,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore,
Aye.
and the chairman votes aye. That is approved. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any reports from any of the commissioners? Very quiet group. Do we all want to stay? Do I hear?
I would move that we adjourn the county commissioners meeting.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Don Holgate,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Brooke Moore.
Aye.
Chairman votes for adjournment. I turn it back over to the select board chair.
Thank you. I'm calling the January 31st Select Board meeting to order at 5:42 p.m. And there's no changes to the agenda, so we'll accept the agenda. Announcements, Libby?
The Finance Committee is holding its public hearing on warrant articles next Monday, the 5th at 4 p.m. in this room, and also it's really a hybrid meeting. And some additional announcements came in since the agenda was prepared. First off, I am pleased to note that the town has received $177,000 in Green Communities grants. These will be for funding to upgrade the energy efficiency of the Planning and Land Use Building, the 2 Fairgrounds Road building, as well as to support a new administrative electric vehicle for the municipal fleet. The Department of Energy Resources gives us this, we have been getting a grant every year since Green Communities has been, we've been designated a green community. And I'm told that we've received, with this award, we will have received almost $500,000 in green community grant funding. So thank you very much to our energy coordinator, Lauren Sinatra, for a lot of hard work in securing those grants. Town Manager e-News is out as of today. I know you all are subscribers, so hopefully you've been able to read through it. We are about to launch on Friday a speed feedback sign. It's a pilot sign. It will be installed on Milestone Road, state road, so it's not subject to our local bylaw about electronic signs, near the intersection of New Street, where speeds should be reduced to 25 miles an hour coming into Sconset Village. This sign was requested by the Sconset Civic Association over the summer. We've been looking into it, and this is going to be a little bit of a pilot program. And that's it.
Any other select board comments?
I have one. We learned today, or maybe yesterday, that sand will be coming. There's a barge that will be here Friday, bringing sand for Baxter Road for SBPF, and that's positive.
And I'd just like to highlight how chock-a-block full of important information the town manager's newsletter is, and its new format. It comes right in your email. You don't have to click a link and go online. And it has a ton of information, and it's really a digest of everything that's going on in the community. And I encourage everyone to go to the town website and sign up.
Thank you very
Got it.
much for that. And thanks to our communications team for getting that new format underway. They are constantly trying to update it, make it easier to read and timely. So thank you.
Yeah, it's great. It's like little digest, and then if there's something you're interested in, you can click to get more information, so you can sort of get a quick summary. It's really well done. So thank you. Follow-up comments from prior select board meetings. Dawn, did you have something?
Yes, I do. Rick Atherton had raised a question last week or the week before that he had raised at the end of August, and we hadn't gotten back to him publicly. The questions were, who drafted the agreement between the select board and the NP and EDC? This is in regard to our agreement for the management of the Plus department. And the answer is from the town manager is, I believe it was a joint effort between the former planning director, town council, the town manager, and quite possibly board members from either or both NP and EDC and select board. And then the second question was the agreement reviewed by town council, and did town council write any comments that were relevant to either board to help them understand the impact of the agreement they entered into, specifically sections 5.3 and 5.4 regarding termination requirements that have to be met before termination can be effective. And the answer is the agreement would have been reviewed by town council, and most likely there was discussion at the meetings where the agreement was discussed and or voted on. Those discussions can be found in the minutes, of which anyone could undertake a search on that. But just for another update for the community is we will be having a joint meeting with the NP and EDC, Select Board and NP and EDC, which is Nantucket Planning Nantucket Planning and Development Commission on February 20th at 6 p.m. And that will be in the trailer or hybrid. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
One other comment is our offer for mediation was turned down today from Surfside Crossing. We received a letter and they are not pursuing mediation. The other groups agreed to do it, but they are not. So.
Okay, any public comment for items not on the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing none. There's no new business. Next, we're at approval of minutes, warrants, and pending contracts. Any questions or comments?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any questions, anything? By roll call, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That's unanimous. Okay, gift acceptances. I usually do these for the chair, so I'm prepared to if no one else is. Okay. There's a gift to the Department of Public Works of $2,057 from Nantucket Preservation Trust for the solid waste manager to attend the 2024 Deconstruction and Reuse Conference. So it's travel, registration expenses, et cetera. The recommended motion would be to accept all gifts for their designated purposes with thanks to the donors. Do I have that motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor by roll call, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNown,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, so that's unanimous, 5-0. Okay, next up, Capital Program Committee. Stephen, you ready? This is a review of the fiscal year 2024 Capital Program Committee report.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Stephen Welch, I am the chairman of the Capital Program Committee, here tonight to walk you through our fiscal year 25 report. Eric, if you would be so kind, bring it up to page 1 of 12 in the lower right-hand corner. 1 of 12. It's titled Introduction, aptly. Scroll down just a little bit. Yeah, if you zoom out, that's great. So this is the, you can scroll down a little bit more. I'll run you through it. Basically Capcom activities have been developed to revolve around Massachusetts Department of Revenue compact with the town of Nantucket, which developed priorities for reviewing and processing capital requests. We've developed a variety of mechanisms and tools to allow that to happen, which I'll touch on in the report. At this point, I just want to thank our membership. I mentioned myself. Our vice chair is Peter Kaiser, and this is Christy Kickham is our secretary. Another member at large is Howard Matz. Howard and Peter this year were on our report writing work group, so big kudos and thanks to them for being involved and helping kind of round out how that process occurs. Our finance committee representative is Jill Veith. Barry Rector is the Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission rep, and Brooke Moore, good evening, Brooke, is the select board rep. It's very important for us to have these individuals there. They help to round out our base of information as we're looking into the intricacies of the town finances. So I'd like to thank everyone for their involvement. I think it's crucial, it's helpful, and thank you. Before we move on, I just want to also thank our town manager, Libby, Brian, the finance director, and Sue Carmel, assistant finance director, who helps on a week-to-week basis keep us on track, and whom without this essential process, she's an essential part of an essential process, and we really appreciate her involvement. If you could go to, I'm just going to kind of go through the summary portion. Actually, you go back up. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, that's it. I haven't looked at this on the big screen yet. So for fiscal year 25, we evaluated 84 requests totaling about $113 million. We recommend for this year funding 77 requests totaling $103 million approximately. Eric, if you could zoom out just maybe a click and just capture the page. So this page just breaks down the 103 million into the two categories of general fund and enterprise fund, general fund and enterprise accounts, as you can see there. And if there's a question along the way, I'll take them. Otherwise, I'll just proceed through. Okay. Next page, please. This is just a different view into the request, and this is the summary of funding sources. So this provides you just a 100-foot up perspective of where the money is, the potential funding sources are coming from. These tie into some footnotes as to bigger picture elements such as AIP funding for airport and so on and so forth. And we get into these funding sources in our Appendix D, which we'll go past shortly. Next page, please. This we just find kind of interesting to take a look at fiscal year requests that are over $1 million. There you go. We just rank these by the, again, break them down, two categories: general fund, enterprise accounts, and the dollar numbers. It's not intended to be informative other than to provide a idea of what kind of requests are coming in the dollar amounts in the current fiscal year. It doesn't forecast anything for future years. Next page, please. This is a breakdown of the impact of projected borrowing costs for capital and debt exclusions items. This actually gets posted, not this particular version, but this information gets posted and will be summarized at town meeting, and then it goes to the ballot. Next one. We include this just annually. This gives you information on the enterprise accounts and the debt service principal and interest, the links to the airport and water and sewer, and how those, it's well beyond the scope of this report to include the rates and how they're broken down, but we do think it's important that there's a general summary and we provide links to that information. The amortization tables for the general fund and the enterprise account would come at a later date, and if anyone's ever interested in them, they're available through the finance department. Next, please. Could you click out one more? Thank you, Erica. So this page and the next page basically summarize what we do beginning in typically August or September through early January. And it's terribly interesting reading. I encourage anyone at home who wants to dig in to understand what the Capital Program Committee does and how they do it to please take a read of it. You can skip this one and this one. There's 3 pages of what we do, by the way. Procedural recommendations break down to processes or steps that we think are relevant for the town to entertain and to pursue. We are making a recommendation annually to the select board. Typically, the select board will either vote to endorse, and never had them not vote to endorse. Many of these procedural recommendations are carryovers, and that's with an understanding that the town is growing and there's some growing pains going on, and changes are being made over time as they can be worked into the system including not only the town government structure, but also the difficulties in having housing to be able to secure, find people who also can have housing on Nantucket. So that's a really broad stroke aspect of this. And I think the point is that capital program is all citizen taxpayers. And we understand that part of our role is not only to make the recommendation, but to understand the confines within which the municipality works. Again, it's information that's important, I think, for community members, and we encourage you to go online. The report will be posted on our website probably next week sometime, if not sooner. Next page is
Brooke, can I have a quick question while we're
Yeah,
kind
go
of-
ahead.
Yeah. Yep, sorry, I've been being told I'm not loud enough tonight, which is a
Well,
first.
don't start with me, Matt.
Yeah, it's a first, but that's all right. No, when you guys are doing an individual item like the $3 million for the feasibility design and permit for employee housing, how deeply do you dig into that, or is that the responsibility of the finance committee?
I was going to take individual requests when we get to the Appendix A, but I'm happy to entertain that. So we dig pretty deep. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. You know, we're not there to make a department head's life uncomfortable, but we ask questions that are relevant in a project where we don't feel there's sufficient information for our review, which I will get into when we go through the appendices, and you'll see what our form is, the information we request. We ask them to, put some meat on the bone and come on back, and we'll review it. It's all cordial, but it's, we're information oriented, and the group wants to do due diligence. Next page, please. And another. Okay, so this is very small reading. It helps to print at 11 by 17 or look at it on a tablet where you can zoom in. Appendix A is the amounts to the 84 requests that we've reviewed this year. They're coded in the database system we developed with the finance department a few years back, alphanumerically. The header, the request description. On the right hand, the left column is the original request amount, and the right hand is the capital program committee recommendation. And this is several pages. So I'm, again, happy to entertain questions, but we can kind of go down to Appendix B, please. On Appendix A, we also have footnotes that might relate to particulars of a request. Yes. Yeah, Appendix B. So Appendix B is a different view of the same information. Again, to track the summary body of the report, it's broken down by the funding sources under the two categories, general fund and enterprise accounts. And this also has a few footnotes, and those are broader perspective footnotes, some of which include item by item recommendations on both Appendix A and Appendix B. Appendix C is a breakdown of appropriations and expenditures to date for requests that are current year, fiscal year 25. So if something is perhaps a second stage of a project or a supplemental request or phased, a great example is a sidewalk improvements plan, which is an annual request and typically funded. Road improvements along those lines. You want to go to the next one, please? This is the tax rate history. If you scroll down to the bottom, we're going to have to at one point kind of decide which year to cut off. So if you guys have a preference, 88 was a good year. I don't know. We've got a little bit of room. So this brings us to this current year tax rates. If you scroll up, Erica, yeah, I'm sorry. It's so residential, open space, commercial, industrial, and personal property are the first three columns. The second, residential exemption and the value of the exemption, and then the Community Preservation Act portion. And then you could scroll back down and that'll just give them a little bit of context. So it's anticipated that with these recommendations, the residential rate would go to is it 313 or 323? 313, yeah. Well, my memory's still working. And that would be per thousand of value. The next appendix is the capital project request form. Matt, this kind of goes to your question. We get into, we break things down by category of project introduction, classification, prioritization. The next page, sorry, I was looking at something. This is where this is an opportunity, one up. This is the opportunity for a department head to input information on cost, if it is a shovel project, what the hard costs, the soft costs are, otherwise, and the year that they would be looking at implementing it, if there is a timeline associated with a multi-step project, it's entered here along with the cost per fiscal year. And next one. This is just a glossary of terms for people who may not be familiar, many people who aren't familiar with municipal finance terms, capital exclusions and general obligation, the GO bonds, other sources of funding, and such as free cash, what the direct appropriation means, what sale of the easiest one to pick up from the heading, sale of surplus real property, stabilization fund, and then we get into typical sources of federal, state, and private grants and loans. If a particular request has one of these, we typically will note that in the body of the report, in the appendices. And that's it for our report. It's a much quicker read than my presentation, so don't shy away. Go ahead, dive in. Questions, thoughts, comments? Brooke?
Well, I'd like to comment. I know there's a more detailed recording of the process, but I think it might be helpful for the community to understand that Capcom meets with all department heads. They present their projects. They're not often, but sometimes sent back to produce more information based on our questions. And then there are liaisons assigned to each department from Capcom, and we go out and meet with the department heads and and are responsible for digging deeper on a particular department's project and sort of becoming the Capcom experts of sorts. And then we're ranking the projects independent of one another. And then those rankings are quantified in a way that projects either make or don't break a cutoff. And then there's a small number of them that we then review and decide whether we want to, if they're really close to the threshold, vote them in or out, depending on the discussion. So, and we obviously, if someone feels strongly about one either being in or out, we can bring that in. So it's a really comprehensive process that involves a lot of detailed input and questioning of each department head. And so I just want to pull a flesh on that.
No, I appreciate the broadening it out. Typically, Jason would ask that question, he'd softball it to me, and then I would fill it in. No, it's easy.
I have a question. One of our big issues now is coastal resiliency. Is that baked into this, or is that getting baked into this now?
We're going to need a bigger bowl to make the mix to bake that in, Matt.
Right. Well, I understand for the cost of that, but
Yeah.
say some of the things we're suggesting here, kind of like the 1.9 to fix the tennis courts. You know, there's an area that is susceptible to flooding.
One of the
Increasingly.
recommendations, I'm sorry, didn't mean to
Yeah,
interrupt.
increasingly. And so
Yeah.
is that considered, if it is, and it should be, but is that considered in the deliberations?
So we actually take that one step further, and the concept we have and discussion we're going to be furthering coincides with the town's studying, hiring consultants to develop plans that are implementable, that are actionable in the short, near, and long term. And part of that, from the Capcom's perspective, is a better understanding of where individual projects fit into that process, so that we're prioritizing things over the longer term. We're beginning to prioritize these, and as you might say, bake into the cake. For now, what we're doing is we're looking at where is there an imminent need, or a need that affects our taxpayer community or our visitor community, because let's face it, the visitor community supports the taxpayer community. So the courts is a great example.
And I would say in that case, we did talk about what is the lifetime of those courts relative to inundation projections. So in other words, there was a consideration in my mind of, do we try to find somewhere else to put these? And it felt like this investment now is fine, because despite some frequency of inundation, it's not permanent inundation. So the investment for the time we expect to get out of those courts makes sense for now. If we were making that decision 5 years from now, it might have had a different impact. But to answer your question, yes, it was considered in the
So it is
discussion.
making it, which is good to know, because a few years ago, it wasn't sort of in the consciousness at all.
It's
And
absolutely part of our
And
process.
I'm checking because it's important that it be added.
Yep,
So I
it
think
is.
that's great. And the other thing I'd like to say is this process is, really good. It's way improved, and it's substantial from where we were, 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Just a quick follow-up on that before any other questions. Another example, we actually were looking at this a little less holistically, but with respect to future forecasting, when the DPW facility came up for finance to be potentially the request for that project, development of the site that exists on. And I think over time, as coastal resiliency became more pronounced a topic, there became a recognition that that may not be, we weren't certain it wasn't a good place as the capital program committee or the town manager, but we were aware that there needed to be a review. So I think those are the types of things we like to look forward. I strongly believe we should be looking at one order of consequence out, at least, to be reasonable. And that relates to, things like coastal planning. So thank you.
And the only other comment is, I think this process right now it seems like it's substantial, but there's not a lot that we're saying no to. I think the test on this is going to be when we hit a bit of a downturn and you're going to have to say no. And I think that's going to be, that'll be a test of where it is. And I think it should hold up, is my guess, but we'll see.
Just a quick response, if I may, on that. So the system we developed with, based upon kind of an extrapolation of the DOR compact, is a ranking system, as Brooke touched on, and it's based upon an analytical hierarchy process, and it's designed to evaluate multiple criteria, decisions, and be affected by multiple persons. And then that, a lot of gobbledygook, but it allows us to very systematically, based upon transparency, the transparency being the priorities, and basically what we do is we take these priorities and we categorize them. And then we rank them relative to one another in the category, and then we rank the categories relative to each of the other categories. And then when we're reviewing our request, we individually, as opposed to a group, review each request against that measuring stick and rank each of the items, each of the requests against each of the priorities. And it develops a ratio that we can then use to rank requests. It's more complicated than it sounds, and but it's beneficial. And I've long said, I agree with you. When we get into a tight financial times, some type of an austerity budgeting, and it's a matter of time. That's the way the economies work. It's going to be crucial that we have that type of a system in place, as opposed to people perhaps thinking that there's favoritism on projects. People start to lose faith, and that can translate into not getting funding at the voting booth or a town meeting, which is problematic for the community. So we're hopeful that it will stand that test, and I believe it will. Thanks.
So the normal procedure is for us to
Adopt.
support or adopt.
Yeah, I'll move that we support or adopt.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? All right, by roll
Madam
call.
Chair,
Yes, Tom?
I would just say through you to Chair Welch and the members of the committee, thank you for all your work on this. Your meeting schedule is brutal, and I know you all spend a lot of time on this, so good work.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks,
I would
Tom.
just, Madam Chair, like that, I kind of shudder when I see the numbers, but I must say you did an excellent job.
Thank you,
In
Malcolm.
my past life, I've been through several of these types of exercises before, and I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
I know a group that could probably use your assistance.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table by roll call. Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNabb,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That's unanimous, and with my thanks to my fellow members of Capcom.
Thank you so much. And I just want to again thank the team. It's a team effort, and we appreciate your support. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay, on to real estate matter. Oh, I do? Oh. Okay. I don't know. Stephen, I'm sorry, I missed a hand up for a public question. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so go ahead, Rick.
Brooke, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. Just a thought for the process. I think Steve's heard this question before. I believe the Capcom committee members get a package, much like the select board members get a package every week of the items under their consideration on their agenda. And that package is not available. At least I haven't found it on the website. And I'd really like to encourage the select board, Steve as well as chairman of the Capital Program Committee, to make those packages available. I think there's relevant information if a citizen is interested in a specific item. And I expand my comment to say the same thing is true of the Finance Committee. I believe they get an email with their package. It's not available on the website. And I think the select board could be helpful for all of your citizens to suggest at least those two very important committees make that information publicly available. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, real estate matters. Attorney Marsh.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Hi.
Hi. The first matter, I believe, is the approval of a subdivision plan for Parcel D on Sandwich Road. Am I correct?
It is, yes. Request for
Okay.
approval of subdivision plan on a town-owned parcel D Sandwich Road, and the rest of it's detailed in the agenda.
Okay, so this matter is before you just to approve of the plan itself. It has already been signed off by the planning board. And this was a subdivision of Parcel D. It is going to create lots 169 and 170 on Sandwich Road. And they will abut what is two lots that were created from 8 Chatham Road, lots 167 and 168. And once these lots are created, they will then be conveyed with the respective lots that abut them. So lot 167 and 169 will be combined, and 168 and 170 will be combined. And then they will be conveyed out as the current owner intends. So I just merely ask for you to approve of the subdivision plan.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, just clarification.
Mhm.
I'm reading the executive summary, and it said, here, where are you? Parcel D is intended to be conveyed to the owners of 8 and 10 Chatham Road, who entered into covenant with the planning board to restrict any future subdivision of 8 and 10 Chatham Road to a total of 3 buildable lots in exchange for the planning board's support of a zoning change at the 2021 town meeting. And then it goes further to say the subdivision plan submitted shows 8 Chatham Road subdivided into 2 lots and Parcel D into, and subsidized Parcel D into 2 lots. So is that, am I reading that correctly? It says 167, 168, 169, 170?
So if I can, as Vicky just explained, this looks like it's in 4 lots, but that's because Parcel D hasn't been conveyed yet. And so when it is conveyed, this is like a preemptory subdivision of Parcel D, so that, and they'll be combined with the other 2 lots that are already created.
Okay.
So it'll still only be 2 lots of 8 Chatham
Right.
Road.
2 lots on this plan, and then the 3rd lot where Diane Ryder's house is on the adjacent lot. And we, as Vicky indicated, we filed a covenant with the planning board several years ago in connection with this whole process, limiting the total development to 3 lots. I say these 2 plus Diane's house.
Right, all right, now that's good. I just, yeah, I think that's important, and I want to just make sure that that
Right.
does happen. We had a situation in Monomoy where it was taken in a different, one parcel was supposed to be combined. We thought it was going to be combined. It was taken in a different name, and we ended up with an undersized lot in Monomoy, which I don't think we ever would have approved. So I just want to make sure we're not doing that here.
Yeah, definitely not.
All right.
And if,
Good.
Matt, if I may add, as well, this was a paper street, so, it's being, combined pursuant to the yard sale as well, so, it's not going to be creating, 3 lots, but just the 2 ultimately.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the board, or do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, so move approval, I presume? Yeah, okay. By roll call, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNabb,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, so that's unanimous. Okay, moving on to number 2, as outlined in the agenda, it's a request for approval and execution of amended order of taking by eminent domain, and then there's a list of properties, and I'll let Vicky explain it. Thanks, Vicky.
So, this is a request for an amended order of taking. The original order of taking that was recorded, had an error in a town meeting vote, that was the original town meeting vote back in 2013, identifying an assessor's map and parcel number incorrectly. And unfortunately, it was not picked up until it had gone to the land court. So this amended order of taking corrects that by correcting the parcel number that identifies this particular property. And the property in question, although it lists a number of properties, we're not correcting anything else in the order of taking other than that which pertains to 8 Nichols Road. Once this is approved, we can record, and then a petition will subsequently be filed, an amended petition will be filed with the land court, hopefully to get this property approved.
Okay. Any
Any
questions from the
questions?
board? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, by roll call, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNabb,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That's unanimous, 5-0. Okay, the next item is item 3, Nantucket Land and Water Council, request for approval of conservation restriction to be held by Nantucket Land Council, Inc. for land located at 120 Miacomet Road. Vicki, do you want to run us
Sure.
through it?
Yes, thank you. I had submitted also a report to you outlining the terms in the conservation restriction and what it protects. This is a 30+ acre parcel, and it will protect the property to be maintained in open space and its natural state. It also will have some trails that may be put through it. And it also permits the public to be able to use the property for outdoor, passive recreational or educational use. So there is a public aspect to having this conservation restriction. There is no requirement for the town to maintain this property or to enforce the conservation restriction either. I ask for your consideration and vote that this conservation restriction is in the public interest, if you approve.
Okay, so any questions from the board?
I'll move approval.
So,
And I find it's in the public interest.
thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, by roll call, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNabb,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That's unanimous, 5-0. Okay, next we have a public hearing to consider the taking of fee and lesser interest together with any public or private rights of passage of parcels A and B Morgan Square as shown on a plan of land entitled Plan to Acquire Land for General Municipal Purposes, Morgan Square, Nantucket, Massachusetts. And it goes on to detail the details in the agenda. So I'm going to open the public hearing. And Vicki, are you on?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. This property is being taken by eminent domain for general municipal purposes and public way purposes. It is going to be conveyed to abutters of, can be conveyed to the abutters of the property as yard sale parcels if it is approved. The property owners directly abut this property, so they are in agreement as to the taking.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Are there any comments from the public? Any comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a couple. Is there a existing path or road through there? This is the taking part. We're gonna disposition. We'll deal with those issues.
The
So-
dispositions later, yeah?
Yes, and I just would point out, Madam Chair, that this is part of a larger subdivision behind this property. So there is other access for other lots behind this. And then there are ways out which will provide for easements over the parcels that are going to be taken. So yes, there will be further access upon the disposition of those parcels.
Okay.
Does something like this go to the Real Estate Advisory Committee prior to coming to us when we talk about disposition?
Yes.
Yes.
So that would be great. And the other thing I'd like them to think about or us to think about, this one is sort of at the rate we are eroding, this one is close to, this could be something to put a one big beach easement on. At the rate we're eroding, in my kid's life, that might be something that would be positive there. So something to think about. Thank you.
Noted. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
A second?
Second?
Okay, all those in favor, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNabb,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and I vote aye, so the public hearing is closed. If there aren't any further questions or comments, do I have a motion?
Move approval?
Second.
Okay, by roll call, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNabb,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
and I vote aye. That's unanimous 5-0. Okay, on to the town manager's report, the monthly town management report.
Thank you. I admittedly got to this a little bit late today, but I think Eric is going to pull up what I was able to get to. So again, this is just kind of an overall accounting of what we've been doing the last couple of months, for the most part, not every single thing. Lots of meetings, discussions, research, document prep for the budget, including a little over half-day session with the Finance Committee last Saturday with almost every department. We're still doing a little bit of November special town meeting follow-up. Lots of preparation going on for the annual town meeting, of course, and we're working on establishing the staff implementation groups that we talked to you about when you last discussed the strategic plan, and we'll bring that to you when we have it all set up. The licensing board, the select board's monthly licensing meeting is still occurring. You know, at some point we'll probably evaluate how that's working, but there's a lot of work involved in getting that underway. Some strategic and or major initiatives and planning items that are going on. Baxter Road alternative access, of course, and the erosion control project. Sheep Pond Road continues to move along very slowly due to permitting and other issues with getting new access out there. The Our Island Home project is moving along. There are a lot of meetings. That is really heating up with meetings and activity. The Wind Fund grant, is that the right way to say that? The Offshore Wind Fund grants applications were prepared over the last month or so. Lots of assistance and help from the energy coordinator and the sustainability programs manager. And we have, I think, ended up with 12 grant applications that have all ranges of costs and purposes. And of course, long-term solid waste planning continues. We have a lot of housing initiatives underway, including coordination of updates to the board and the finance committee with the housing director. We are putting together an internal staff group to help with developing a plan for town employee housing. And we're working on the update requested by the board some time ago for the 246 Fairgrounds site plan. Lots of employee housing issues. Those are listed there. We have our employee morale and leadership group meetings continuing. We're working on monthly training programs and other kind of morale boosters. That seems to be coming along pretty well. We had real estate specialist interviews this week. And as we now know, we're going to be working on replacement planning for the Health and Human Services Director. And we conducted an assessment center earlier this week, maybe it was last week, for the 2 deputy fire chief positions. Lots of other things going on. Mass Municipal Association webinars. These are pretty popular. They're a couple times a month, and they're usually really timely topics. And they've been very well received. As we mentioned last week, some of us attended the Mass Municipal Association annual meeting a couple of weeks ago. The Washington Street Coastal Resiliency Planning Project, that's a joint initiative with the Land Bank, and I think we're meeting tomorrow. That's kind of heating up a little bit as well. Lots of real estate issues. I mentioned the town manager e-news. We're working on our town building complex area exterior repairs. That's specifically the town building, the 3 East Chestnut building, a little bit of the sheriff's building. I don't really like to call it the sheriff's building because it's not really his building, but the 20 South Water building, yes. Even though, thank you, Sheriff, because he is quite a donor for helping get that building repaired. The DPW facility, this is also heating up. We're really taking a good hard look at mitigation requirements and siting. We're also working on some policy updates. There have been some statewide recent discussions about flag policies, First Amendment rights, public art, and public comment. So we're working on policy, either updates for you or policies to be proposed to you. The Cannabis Advisory Committee, the chair and I had a meeting with the Cannabis Advisory Committee chair a month or so ago, and they would like a joint meeting with the board to discuss some issues that they've been talking about. So we're trying to get that scheduled and coordinated. Lots of weekly meetings, monthly meetings, quarterly, and bi-monthly. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? I have one quick one, Libby. How is the allocation of the town's portion of the wind fund going to be determined? The applications are in, do they total the amount that there is, or will there be choosing
I
among them?
believe they exceed the amount that there is, so there will be criteria established to consider them. And I am not the coordinator of this, but I think they go through the Community Foundation after this.
Okay. And then ultimate approval is there at the Community
I
Foundation?
believe so, but Vince and Lauren are probably wanting to reach through the screen and choke me right now. But
Okay.
If that's different, I'll let you know.
Great, thank you. Okay. Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Libby. Any committee reports from the board members?
Madam Chair.
Let
Let Tom go.
Yeah, let them go.
Go
Yeah, I
ahead,
was
Tom.
just going to report, and Libby alluded to this or stated it in her monthly manager report, but at Affordable Housing Trust on Tuesday or yesterday, we talked about that Christy would be coming to the select board to do a quarterly report, very much like the Coastal Resiliency Committee does, and look forward to that for them coming to update us on all the housing initiatives and what's going on with the AHT.
Thanks, Tom. Matt?
Yeah, I've got a couple things. Number one, I noticed the brand new NRTA, the buses driving through the big Puddle on Raceway Drive. And I thought to myself, boy, this isn't probably a good thing. So I just, for everyone's notification, I just sent a question to Gary is, how many areas like that do you have? And is there a way to use the old buses on the, on the days that were flooded or anything? How else are they dealing with it? And I'll get back to you. I just hate to be taking these brand new buses and putting them, ruining them. FinCom, I attended the other day for the discussion of the wind farms. There are 2 articles regarding the wind farms, and both are non-binding, they're advisory. And one is asking for us to get rid of the good neighbor agreement, and the other is asking for a town meeting vote to never enter into something like that again. Neither of those are, those are non-binding again. But the comment that I ended the meeting with was a warning to our board or to the FinCom or to any other town board to be careful not to endanger or break that agreement. I think we have to, honor our commitments. And and so we've got to be careful. So that was number 2. And number 3, I've had recent discussions. I had previous discussions 2 or 3 years ago with Walwinnett group about the multi-use path. They have put, I'll get the number wrong, but I think 250,000, 300,000 at the Community Foundation. They are ready to put more money toward this. They're ready to hire someone and and give them to the town or do whatever they need to do. They're going to talk to Mike and see how to do that. But I think that road is, we talk about it a lot at BPAC. That road is dangerous. It's one of the worst on the island. And for that shared road with cars and bikes and walkers, and it's small and, no vision. So I think when we redo our strategic plan again, I think we should bump that up because the money's available. It's in the queue with Fish and Wildlife and the state and us. And so I think if we could, sort of give it a little bit more attention, it may help it move along. The neighbors, I think there's about 15 or so that are, would have to give easements, and I think all but 2 are ready to give the easements today if they needed to, and I think they would agree to get the other 2. So I do think there's momentum right now, and I think if, so when we get to the strategic planning, I'd like to think that we will make that as one of our transportation goals. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, if we don't want to stay all night, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, by roll call, Matt Fee,
Aye.
Malcolm McNabb,
Aye.
Tom Dixon,
Aye.
John Holgate,
Aye, thank you.
and I vote aye. We unanimously decide to go home. Thank you very much.